You going to tax farmers? Would you tax farmers?
Right now, agriculture is the only sector of our economy that is not priced for its emissions, and what that means is that the rest of the economy picks up the slack.
What about your Pacific members who've basically quit and said that the Green Party is culturally unsafe?
Yeah, I'd certainly make the point that, as has been well reported, that was 3 people's views, so not the entire Pacifica Greens membership nor the Pacifica Greens caucus. The second point that I'd make is that, look, obviously, if you've read the letter, it comes from quite a place of hurt and quite a place of grief. So when somebody, chucks something like that out there, you kind of want to take it seriously and you kind of want to sit with it and say, well, what's going on here? So, look, we're just going to take some time to sit with this one. I'm conscious of the fact that I'm the Pākehā co-leader, and so we all have work to do. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm perfect. I'm not. The best way, the most ethical way that Darlene Tāna can end this is to accept the caucus's unanimous request for resignation.
Today we have a special episode with 3 former members of the Green Party who recently wrote an open letter about their mistreatment by co-leaders Marama Davidson, Chlöe Swarbrick and other party members.
To Vasemaca, Darlene Tāna, who was another one who was targeted by media narratives that damaged her reputation in mana. What did you observe about Marama and Chlöe's behaviour towards Darlene, and how did this impact you as a Green Party member?
What I observed in the fallout with Darlene is, I'm a mum. Bullying. We see bullying. If we saw any of our kids, any of our family, any kid being bullied, you see it straight away. That's what it felt like. We were watching Darlene being singled out, being isolated. That she had no one, she was silenced, and the language that they were using around her felt so violent. Right. It was such a form of just slashing her mana, slashing her integrity, when in fact what we have known about the alleged behaviors that have happened, none of us have seen evidence. We're just taking what was coming from leadership as fact. Yeah. And when you knew Darlene and you saw her work on the ground and you saw her work and her advocacy, which is like from a depth of her career, right, something just didn't feel right. And I personally felt really disgusted in that language being used around an Indigenous woman, around a woman who's like us, had given time and energy and investment to this party. It felt so deeply disrespectful to me, and as if they just wanted to smear her integrity entirely, to build a narrative that we all sort of saw some gaps in,
And I can't help but notice that every time something goes down, there's an act of running to media to quickly defame, the said person that they are attacking. And that's a very, how would I say it? It's not good. And especially when they're in a position, where having access to media is quite easy for them. They could just ring up a journalist and say, I have a story, and they could really. So it's really an abuse of power in that sense. To you, Marie, what other kind of hypocrisies did you identify with the co-leaders of the Green Party?
Well, I can't really say hypocrisies, but as you would have read in our open letter, clearly Elizabeth and Darlene have been treated in a different way to Julianne Genter or Chlöe, who, for that matter, yell and heckle all the time in the house. And we're supposed to adhere to non-violence as one of the 4 pillars. And also in terms of the decision of the co-leaders and the caucus meekly following along, you're supposed to also adhere to the principle of appropriate decision making. Like how did they make the decisions to target these 2 tangata whenua women? It's clearly obvious to us that it is very hypocritical in terms of the way that Julianne Genter has been treated so gently compared to the other 2.
What were your thoughts on that, Alofa?
I suppose you touched on it before, Hannah. It's there's the Greens profess to do politics differently, and yet they actually don't. That's probably a reflection that I have witnessed, or that's my reflection, and probably the other sisters as well. Their commitment to Te Tiriti is spelled out in the Green Charter, but the attacks on 3 Māori MPs, going back to Metiria, with Elizabeth and now Darlene, and it is the power that the leadership have, the co-leaders have, is that they choose to spin this narrative. And they choose so that it's sort of like a grooming of the membership and the public, that what they say then grooms the public to either idly just go along with what these people are saying, because, they're good people, aren't they? They're good people. I've chosen to put my support behind this party. They can't. But until you're actually there and you see it roll out, you see it roll out. Marie and Vasemaca said that, how can you say that some MP's behaviour, we use Darlene, saying that it falls below the bar of what an MP should hold themselves. Meanwhile, the current leadership, i.e., the leaders, can go out and verbally attack that level of violence, but no one seems to investigate that or hold that. And the example that Marie used with Julian Genter, slap on the wrist,
Right.
no stand down of portfolios, no
Speaking of madness, you Greens, I saw one the other day, you said you're fighting for peace in Gaza. Let me tell you now, fighting for peace is like fucking for virginity. It's a waste of fucking time. And as for that Green dumbass who sent us a note saying, is our Patagonian toothfish, is it in actual fact grass-fed? No, it's not grass-fed. It comes from 1,500 metres below sea level. And in case you're wondering, our hamburgers don't have ham in them. Our hot dogs don't have hot dogs. Our boxing ring is actually square. Our pineapples don't have pine or apples. Our steamrollers don't roll steam. And our chocolate fish don't fucking swim, you thick bastard.